Hi everyone, this is Modern Windows Fan Video. I'm Adam, and this is episode 3 of our Project Sienna tutorial series. In this episode, we're going to be covering 3 really big topics. We're going to be covering data sources, collections, and galleries. By the time we finish with this video, we're really going to have pretty much all of Project Sienna's core concepts under our belt. We're really going to make an app today in this video that is useful and does something, and if you were to take it and run with it, you could probably make something worth submitting to the Windows Store. This is video 3 of the series, so we assume that you have kind of gone through the other videos. We're going to be using a lot of Project Sienna kind of jargon and terms, and we're going to kind of assume that you understand those. So if you haven't watched the previous videos, I suggest you go and check those out before you jump in here. So today we're going to start with data sources. Data sources are super important, and they are what make Project Sienna so powerful. If all you could do is make apps that just have like buttons that move, change the color of a triangle or something, it wouldn't be very useful, right? Think of the apps that you use on a daily basis that are useful to you. Things like Twitter or Facebook or maybe a news reader or something like that. Those apps don't do much in and of themselves. What makes them useful is the data that they grab from the internet. And that's a data source. So in our apps, we're going to be doing the same thing with data sources. Today, we're going to use a data source to pull some data down and display in our apps. So let's get right into Project Sienna and start looking at these. I am going to bring Project Sienna up, and I will snap myself into the side for now, but when we really get into stuff, I might go full screen so that we can see everything better. So I'm going to swipe up and show the menu bar here, and I'm going to finally tap this app data button up here that we've kind of been ignoring, saying we're going to get to. We're finally going to get to it. So I'm going to tap app data, and I'm going to do data sources. And so this is the data source management screen. We don't have any data sources on this, in this app yet, so we don't have any to display. This right here is the list of all the data sources you can add. All right, so these are all the places we can pull data. To quickly go through them, Excel, you could make an Excel spreadsheet that contains a bunch of data that's important to you, and you could use that to power your app. Azure Mobile Services is kind of Microsoft's cloud computing platform. That would be a bit more of an advanced user thing. Bing Search is an incredibly powerful, much more powerful than you might think, data source that allows you not only to do web search, but things like news, pictures, all sorts of really cool stuff. And Translator lets you dynamically translate text from any language to any language that Bing understands. Facebook is an incredibly powerful data source, and you could, I've played with this, you could write a fully functional Facebook client in Project Sienna with this data source. REST is also extremely powerful. This is a data source that will allow you to interface with any open web API. So you could make a Reddit client or a Last.fm app or something like that. An RSS feed is just a simple kind of grab of data from a site. It's usually for like news sites. Podcasts are actually published via RSS. And then SharePoint and Yammer are 2 kind of enterprise technologies that Microsoft has, and if you know what they are, they may be useful to you. So in our app today, we're going to use RSS. Let me go over to the browser here, and if you go to this tab, Reuters, the news service, publishes a whole bunch of really great RSS feeds. So we're going to use some of these to quickly mock up an app. So we're going to copy and paste the address. We're going to copy the address of this arts newsfeed. Copy. And let's bring Project Sienna back up. And we're going to hit plus. We're in our data sources management screen, RSS feed. And we're going to paste that RSS feed we put in there. Boom. Okay. See, we can see data from this data source right here in this kind of table. And we can see it's given a name, RSS1. I want you to think of the data that we get back from data sources as being organized in a table like this, like Excel. It makes it easy to think about. We can see that what we've got here are news stories. Each row in the table is a news story, and each column is like a different property, so like a title. or a description or a category. So think back to how we addressed the properties of visuals. We did it like visual name, bang, property. So like we might do button 1, bang, fill to see the fill color. With data sources, we're going to do something pretty similar. We're going to say the row that we're acting on, which is called this item, bang, title, or this item, bang, link. So as we're going through the data source, we're going to be looking at it item by item, and then we're going to be grabbing the different columns by using the same kind of bang syntax that we use with properties. You can think of each column as a property of an item. Okay? But we've got kind of a quandary here. How are we going to display this data? So let's say we've got 20 or 50 news stories. How are we going to display that on the screen? If we created 50 text boxes, that would be kind of a pain to develop. There would be a lot of stuff on the screen, and wouldn't be very, it wouldn't react well to, let's say you had 20 stories or 30. That's not a good solution. So instead, we're going to use our second big concept today, which are galleries. Galleries are a very powerful feature of Project Sienna. They allow you to create a visual based on a template. Okay, so you take a visual and you have this template, and you lay out different visuals in it, pictures, text boxes, whatever. And then you hook that gallery up to a data source. And what Project Sienna does is it makes a copy of the template with the data from the data source for each row in the data source. Okay, so it iterates over all of the rows returned by the data source, and it goes item, 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 and it makes a copy of the template, copy of the template, copy of the template with the data in it. Okay, so that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to hit plus to reveal the visuals palette. We're going to tap galleries. And you see they give us a lot of different kinds here. They give us images, image with caption, image with text, text, and they give us horizontal and vertical of each kind. There's also the custom down here. This is when you start making your own apps and really wanting to customize how they look and feel. These custom galleries are extremely, extremely powerful. But we're going to start simple, and we're going to use the pre-made text gallery. So I clicked on text gallery, and it added it to my page here. So I am going to kind of drag this around and just get this kind of position the way we want on the screen. All right. So we've got our gallery here, but you can see the data in it is just like text data, like lorem ipsum, that kind of just random test data. So let's go ahead and hook this up to our data source and see what that looks like. So I'm going to tap on the gallery here, and I'm going to tap data down the bottom left, and I'm going to say items. Okay, so remember the data source was filled with items. We want the template to be populated for each item, so we're saying items here. And we can see right now it's hooked up to textual gallery sample. We want to hook it up to, there's our data source, RSS1. So tap that, and we get, it changed. Obviously it hooked up, and it says art news, which was our category, but this doesn't look very useful yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on our gallery, and then we're going to click on, over here is our actual fields. You see, the very first cell is the template. You can see we have our title field, we have kind of our body field. And I'm going to make the body a bit shorter, and I'm going to make the title a bit taller. Okay, no, let's do that even better. Okay, so now we can have kind of a good title and a body. So we're going to tap on our arts, where it says arts news. This is going to be our title, and we're going to hit data, more, text, and then down here we see the fields from our RSS feed. Okay, and look at here, this item, bang, category. That's exactly what we were talking about. So let's instead do this item, bang, how about title? And there we go. There are our titles. Pretty cool. And let's do some design work here. Let's do design, more, and let's say we will center these, and let's also make them bold. Font, no, the font is good. Size is good. Style, here we go, bold. And let's just give them a little bit more room to breathe here. Okay, that's good. Now we're going to try something that we haven't done before, which is we're going to try using a function to modify data. So let's go back to our template here and click on our header and our title, and we're going to do data more text and see how it's saying, all right, we're pulling in this item, bang title. And for each row, we're seeing, for each item, we're seeing the text that's contained in this item, bang title. But I'd like this to be in all caps. I like the way all caps looks in bold on a, for like a headline. So how can we do that? Well, Project Sienna has a ton of different functions. If you're familiar with Excel macros, the same functions you use in Excel. Or if you've ever done any basic programming, they're very close to what you might see in basic programming. So we're going to use a function called upper. And upper, whatever text you feed upper, it turns it into uppercase, right? So let's look here. We got in our data source here, in our text source, we have this item, bang title. We're going to do upper, and we're going to surround this item, bang title, in parentheses. And boom, now it's all in caps. So that is, I want you to keep in mind here that when we're doing these functions, whether it's in behaviors or when we're tying into data sources, we don't have to just do the straight ahead obvious thing. We can get tricky. We can start looking at, okay, how can we feed the output of one function to the output of another? For example, maybe we might in later videos look at how we feed data from one data source into another before we display it. Well, what we did here is kind of like a baby version of that, a baby step, and I want you to get comfortable with this. We've got this item bang title being run through the upper function. Project Sienna has a huge function list. Functions to do lots and lots of different stuff. In the description of this video on YouTube, I'm going to have a link to the Project Sienna function list. This is how you use most of them. You just do like the name of the function, a parenthesis, and then you give it some data. So maybe when you're experimenting, you can go through that function list and see if you find something that catches your eye. There's some really powerful stuff in there. Okay. So to move on, let's take a look at we want to have our body text here. So in the template, we've selected this big text box they gave us. We did data, more text, and we're going to do this item, bang, description. That's pretty good. Really kind of small, so let's do some design work. More size, and let's get that a little bigger so we can read it. Pretty cool. So now we've got an app here, right? We're pulling data from the internet. We're doing some transformations on it to get it to look exactly how we want. We're doing some styling, and we're displaying it in a gallery. This is an app, but it's not a very interesting app. How could we make this a little more interesting? How could we make this a little more useful and get ourselves on the road to developing a real app? Well, just displaying one type of news isn't that useful, but displaying lots of different types of news would be useful. If we could give the user the choice of what kind of news he or she wants to see, then we could start being on the road to having a cool app. So let's go back to our Reuters site here, and let's grab another RSS feed. We're going to grab business news. We're going to copy that. We're going to bring Sienna back over here. And let's add another data source. So we show the menu bar, app data, data sources. We're going to hit plus, RSS feed. We're going to clear out what's in there, and let's paste in our business news. Import. And we've got another data source. You can see it's called RSS2. Okay, cool. So what we want to do is add a couple of buttons, and depending on which button the user taps, we want to display different data. So let's add a couple of buttons. One here, and another one, and we'll just kind of put them up here in the upper right-hand corner. I like that. Okay. And let's make this one say art. And let's make this one say business. And that font's pretty small, so let's do a little design work. Design more size, and we'll say maybe 22. That's good. We'll do the same one over here. Design more size, 22. Okay, cool. So now we got some nice big readable buttons. So when we press the art button, we want to show the contents of RSS1. When we press the business button, we want to show the contents of RSS2. But this kind of reminds us of when we were using buttons to change the properties of visuals, right? It's basically the same thing. You can think of a data source as a property of a gallery, right? That's reasonable. Well, were we able to directly change the property of a visual? No, we weren't. We needed to change a context and hook that context up to the visual. Well, we need to do something very similar here. And to do that, we're going to use the third concept we're going to cover in this video, which are collections. A collection is like a context. It's a bucket to hold data. But instead of holding one bit of data, it holds a set of data. So what that means is we can create a collection. We can fill it with the contents of one data source. And then when we press a button, we can use the behavior of that button to fill that collection with data from another data source. All right, so let's try that. We're gonna click on our gallery here. We're gonna go to Data, More, Items, and right now it's hooked up to RSS1. Well, we're gonna create a collection. And you create a collection the same way you create a context. You just kind of give it a name and start using it. So we're gonna do RSS results. Oops. If I can spell, you're good, right? RSS results. Okay. Now, we've got all these, hey, user, look at this. There's a mistake, these yellow things. That's because we haven't actually put anything in RSS results yet, so Sienna isn't sure if that's a collection or if we just made a mistake. But we're going to let Sienna know we did this on purpose. So we're going to go up to Art, and we're going to bring out Express View. And for behavior, we're going to use a function, collect RSS results, and we're going to say RSS1, right? Boom. Okay. Notice that after let me close Express View. Notice that after I added that function to fill RSS results with RSS1, now Project Sienna is sure that we're talking about a collection and it has populated appropriately. So let's run the app and try that. We tap Art, there's our art stories. Pretty cool. So now we just need to do that for business. Except, there's a bit of a problem. Let's go back and look at what we have in the Express View in Art. We have collect RSS results RSS2. Well, if we just go to business and do collect RSS results RSS2, what do you think we'll see? Well, it won't delete what's in the collection, it'll just append it to the end. So instead of changing from art to business, we'll just kind of throw business at the end of the line and the gallery will add more rows or more columns appropriately. But that's not what we want to do. We want to actually clear out what's in RSS results and then fill it. So on both of these behaviors, we're actually going to do another function first. We're going to add a semicolon. Semicolon is a way of telling Project Sienna that we're separating functions. We're going to do clear, and then we're going to do RSS results. Okay, so now let's read that line back. Clear RSS results, semicolon. Collect RSS results, RSS1. So we're saying when the user taps the button, we're going to empty out RSS results, and then we're going to fill it with what's in RSS1. Cool. So now let's select our business button here, Express View. We're just going to copy that same rule we just made, but we're just going to change the RSS1 to RSS2. That's really the only difference, right? All right, so now let's try and run our app. Preview, business, bam. There is our business stuff. Art, there's our art stuff. Back and forth. Cool, huh? So that's an app, right? So if you were to do some nice design to this, pick 5 or 6 different news kind of stories or news categories you were interested in and display them like this, that's an app. You'd have to do some more. Maybe you'd want to get some pictures or maybe you'd want to be able to have the user pull that story up in a web browser. So there's more to do, but this is a start. So there's a couple things I want you to do. First, I want you to save this, File, Save, and I'm just going to save this on my desktop and just call it, Sienna tutorial 3. Okay, I want you to save it because we're actually going to pick up from here on the next video. Okay, so if you decide to play with this a little, make sure you just save a copy that is right here because this is where we're going to get going from. And in the next video, we're going to look at how can we take this same sort of app right from where we are now and enhance it and make it a lot richer. So that was our tutorial for our episode 3 of the Project Sienna tutorial. We said we were going to cover three features, and we covered data sources, collections, and galleries. But I kind of snuck in a fourth concept, which was using functions and kind of chaining them together. We've been doing that the whole time, especially in the last episode. But I wanted to show that how that kind of naturally just becomes part of what you do. To really get a lot out of Project Sienna and make cool apps, we're going to need to think outside the box a bit and maybe not do the most straight ahead thing all the time. But combining these data sources and these functions and all this stuff, we can really make useful apps. So thanks very much for tuning into this episode. Be on the lookout for the next one, which will hopefully take me a lot less time than this one did. And again, we're going to pick right up from where we left off this time. As a side note, if you like these videos, make sure to do whatever it is people do on YouTube, like them or share them or follow them or whatever. And check out the website. It's modernwindowsfan.com. I kind of blog up there. I post links to stuff. Also check out thesurfaceshow.com, which is a podcast that me and my buddy Jim do. We do it weekly, and we cover kind of stuff that's going on in the world of Microsoft. And check me out on Twitter. I'm Adam R. Drew on Twitter, and there's a link from modernwindowsfan.com, so you can follow me and message me, and you know, we can get the conversation going outside of YouTube. So thanks very much for tuning in. This Modern Windows Fan video. Have a great day.